literally playing together here to get the most accurate results. So this is kind of like the starting point of the game, the lobby. So I would say it's not exactly the most attractive way to kick off the experience.
Yeah, what a first impression, right? Right away, 20 frames per second under that on the original Xbox One, and look at those textures, you know, things are definitely not being managed well on the memory front.
The best frame rate, no compromises.
For Pro version for comparison, you can clearly see that while it does suffer from bad frame pacing, the average frame rate is higher overall on Sony's console. The high mode on Xbox One X simply struggles to maintain solid performance in this area.
The best frame rate, no compromises.
But these drops can pop up during normal gameplay as well. This area alongside the lake here is rather demanding, for instance. Between the multitude of enemies and the water effects sloshing around, the frame rate starts to take a sharp dive into the low 20s and sometimes even into the teens.
The best frame rate, no compromises.
The game, then nothing really improves here. It's looking absolutely dreadful.
Right.
The best frame rate, no compromises.
It has no trouble hitting that 60 FPS target at all. And well, for the most part on Xbox One X, in similar conditions that's also true. With around 17 cars in a race, along with weather conditions such as rain and snow, both consoles managed to deliver 60 FPS pretty effortlessly. However, in more demanding moments, whether that be increased weather conditions or more cars bunched up on the track, then PS4 Pro actually has the advantage. I noticed there was slightly more in the way of frame rate drops and tearing on Xbox One X even outside of stress points. They don't happen too often, but occasionally I did get a tad distracted by the odd bit of tearing in areas where the game maintained a smooth 60 FPS on the Pro.
The best frame rate, no compromises.
I think what's a bit concerning for me here is that the detail mode can't run at a locked 30 frames per second. And I mean, we're not even looking at the most intense scenes the game has to offer here, and we're getting a lot of tearing. We're not at 30 frames per second. Kind of wish that, you know, there was some element of consistency in this game.
The best frame rate, no compromises.
Time. But aside from that, performance was generally very smooth and consistent on PS4 Pro. And that's also true of the Xbox One X version as well in this particular mode. But in areas where the engine is pushed to the limit, such as the player versus enemy tower defense style mode, then performance often takes a massive hit due to the much larger scale of the gameplay on offer. Performance plays out at a solid 30 frames per second with smaller encounters, but as soon as we get right into the thick of it, with new enemies appearing on screen in flashes of alpha effects and lighting, then performance really starts to buckle, with frame rates dropping as low as 20 FPS at times.
Frame rates dropping as low as 20 FPS at times.
The best frame rate, no compromises.
Stress tests, which really push the engine hard, then the results are disappointing on the One X. Basically, we're looking at 32 cars on screen, full wet weather conditions, and what can I say, neither console has a great turnout here. At the start of the race, PS4 Pro is heavily impacted by a lot of screen tearing, although frame rates do manage to stick closely to 60 frames per second. But on Xbox One X, well, the turnout here isn't great.
The best frame rate, no compromises.